and an unexpected one. In his early 50s, Shane Warne is no more. Celebrated as one of the greatest spin bowlers of all time, a man who lived life king size, who was given to excess from time to time, had his fair share of controversies, made the world a little more interesting, is no more, viewers. He died in Thailand, and we are being told that he died because of a cardiac event. Why? We don't have details as yet. We're going to try and go across to Ankit Tyagi and our reporters to get a sense of it. Before I do that, I want to bring in Alan Sippy. Alan Sippy, you must have known Shane Warne. He was very, very convivial with Indians, especially those who are around the great game.
Rahul, first of all, it's a very sad news. You know, when anyone passes away, it's sad. And when a sport like this passes away, it's very heartbreaking. It's difficult to actually comprehend, because this man on the cricket pitch, on the cricket field, he was a legend. He was a larger than life character, a character that the world took to because they realized that he was like a rock star on the pitch. He was actually like the Elvis Presley of the cricketing world. He was somebody who everyone related to, because not only was the greatest spin bowler of all time, he was a person who played cricket with his heart on his sleeve. Some loved him, some, found him a little bit brash. But the world, the players who played against him, the people who, he competed with them, the people who he interacted with, everyone said that this was a special human being, a human being that the world took to, because he was larger than life, like you rightly said at the start. He was the king of the spinning world. Today, it's sad to put things into perspective, but this man is no more. And every single cricketer who played with, against him, or knew him will be feeling so sad, so hurt, and so, feeling
absolutely. I mean, look, it's a bolt from the blue, John Gloucester, and not something that anyone could prepare for. The man was full of life.
Completely, and I've just received the news myself, and I find it shocking. And to see Shane in front of us right there with his tennis racket in a Rajasthan Royals top, I find I can't believe it. He was such a huge part of the Royals family with us. He molded us into the team that we became, as you know, the successful unit that we became in that first year. But he molded everybody that he surrounded, the entire cricket community, the teams, the dressing rooms that he was part of. He was instrumental in molding characters and beyond the cricket field. But to be honest, I'm still in shock. And to a guy that Mr. Sippy just said was larger than life, he really was larger than life. And we all hear the stories about Shane on the field, off the field, but there was no bigger character in world cricket. There was no greater personality in world cricket, and we're all going to miss him enormously, particularly the Rajasthan Royals family. And I speak on behalf of the Rajasthan Royals family that he was us. He created the entire unit that we became over the last 12 to 15 years in that franchise. And
yes,
I'm almost out of words.
It was miraculous. In fact, no one gave Rajasthan Royals a chance, and he made them a winning combination, and not just for one season, but quite a few. Stay on. I want to go straight across to Karishma, Pranesh and Siddharth. Karishma, how is the Indian cricket fraternity reacting to this?
Well, Rahul, the entire Indian cricket fraternity is in shock, whether it's former cricketers or our current cricketers, all of them in disbelief that Shane Warne has passed away at the age of 52. It started with, Virender Sehwag. He's been tweeting again and again saying that he can't believe what has happened. Yuzvendra Chahal has tweeted saying that he owes being a spinner to Shane Warne because he was his childhood hero and he cannot believe that Shane Warne has passed away. Rohit Sharma, the Indian captain, has tweeted saying that he's in utter disbelief that something like this has happened. The Australians are tweeting, they're touring Pakistan right now, but they too are in shock. But the Indian cricket fraternity, especially VVS Lakshman, Anil Kumble, all those who've played alongside Shane Warne, are in complete shock at the moment. And very, very unbelievable what has happened. Shane Warne passing away in Thailand at the age of 52 due to a suspected heart attack, Rahul.
Suspected heart attack. Pranesh, any more details coming through? Siddharth, any more details coming through?
Not really, Rahul. What we know and what we can confirm is that he died of a suspected heart attack and was found dead in his villa in Thailand. That's what we know so far, but we'll keep updating our viewers as details come in. But Rahul, Siddharth and I were talking about the ball of the century, and Siddharth, let's also talk about the setting of this match. This was Shane Warne's first series in England. He was fairly new at the international stage, perhaps the second test match, if I'm not wrong, and Alan Border turns to Shane Warne, and on his first ball, he creates magic.
Absolutely, and he was up against Mike Gatting. Mike Gatting, of course, is the former England batsman who had a very good reputation of taking on spinners. He was supposed to have been lethal against spinners, and the ball of the century, for anyone who's had the privilege to see it, speaks for itself. It pitched miles outside leg stump and spun prodigiously to in fact clip the bail on top of the off stump, and it's known as the ball of the century for a reason, and it's because of his ability to generate spin on tracks that were not really conducive to spin. That was what set apart Shane Warne from a lot of the other spinners of his time.
He could do magic with a cricket ball, Rahul. He could turn the ball the way he wanted, when he wanted, on the track that he wanted to. And when the ICC inducted him into the Wall of Fame, he was asked a question about the ball of the century and the modest man that Shane Warne was. He said it was a fluke.
Absolutely, and it's not just that ball. I mean, he's bowled some brilliant balls to dismiss a whole host of batsmen over the years. He ended up taking about 708 test match wickets, and what's also not spoken of as much as it should be is his contribution to one-day cricket as well. Remember that he won the Man of the Match award in the 1999 World Cup semi-final in that all-important game against South Africa, which ended in a tie, and then of course the final against Pakistan, where he took 4 wickets to dismiss Pakistan very cheaply, a score that the Australians were able to successfully chase thereon. So his contribution to the game is immense, and one also spoke about his participation in the very first edition of the IPL in 2008, and this is something that we can take to John Gloucester as well, who was the physio of Rajasthan Royals. And John, you did see Shane Warne captain in that first edition of the IPL, and many then spoke about what might have been had he been given an extended run as an Australian captain, because what he did with Rajasthan Royals was quite transformational.
Well, lots of commiserations coming in, condolence messages coming in. Viewers, at the bottom of your screens, we're putting them out. Shoaib Akhtar, Ajinkya Rahane, Virender Sehwag, the entire cricketing fraternity, several Australian cricketers. John Gloucester, there was a reference made to you to take a question from Siddharth. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Siddharth. And you talked about creating magic, and he didn't just create magic on the cricket field, he created magic in the dressing room, and that's where most success stories in teams start. It's in the dressing rooms. And for Warne, that's where it all started. He created magic there, and he took that onto the field. And
well John, how would he do that? How did he make magic in the dressing room?
Because he could read people. He's the best reader of people that I have ever met. That's why he was such a brilliant poker player, because he could read people. He understood people, he read people, and he was sympathetic to many people that you wouldn't think so. So Warne was the most intuitive individual that I've ever seen on a cricket field and off the cricket field, and he took that onto the field when he went to play. So there'll be people in that dressing room at Rajasthan in 2008 with India Asia, Yusuf Pathan, some of these young boys that he brought through. Others didn't believe in them. Warne believed in them. And he saw something special in all those cricketers, and there's no coincidence they all went on to become fantastic international cricketers themselves. He could read people better than anybody, and like I said before, to know that Warne is here no more is going to shock so many people beyond just the cricket field because of what he brought to the entire community outside of cricket.
It's no age to die. Gone too soon. Mr. Sippy, you've probably had some interactions with Shane Warne.
Yes, the last one, Rahul, the last interaction was in England this year when I was with Ravi Shastri and Bharat Arun. We were just leaving the bar. It was not too late. It was about 9 o'clock and Shane Warne was just checking into the hotel. And I remember Ravi just shouting, "Warne," loudly. And Warne was like, he came over, Ravi hugged him. It was such a good feeling to see that the relationship between Ravi Shastri and Shane Warne was so strong. And in fact, after this news broke out to everyone, I actually called Ravi. And the minute when I called Ravi, his voice was broken. Because as if he had lost someone of his own. So Shane Warne related to everyone. And this is what I mean by saying that this person was larger than life. And every single cricketer, whether it's a fan or a person who played with or against him, they will all miss this human being because he was special both on and off the field.
Yeah, you're making me emotional too. The words choking up there. Siddharth and Pranesh, Siddharth, of course, we know about that trial by fire, the introduction in 1991, that game, and it was a high-scoring game from the Indian side. I remember that. Just take us through that.
Well, Rahul, incidentally, that was, it also happens to be one of my earliest cricketing memories. It was the only draw that India achieved in that 5-test match series. It was a 5-test series. We lost that series 4-0. And it was Ravi Shastri. And since Mr. Alan Sippy mentioned this very interesting anecdote involving Mr. Ravi Shastri as well as Shane Warne, Ravi Shastri, in fact, took Warne to the cleaners in that test match. Warne ended up with figures of 1 for 151, Rahul, if you remember. It was his maiden test match, and many people ruled him out, said that he might not really get too many opportunities after that, and how wrong they were to be proven after that. Sachin Tendulkar was among the other centurions in that match. He was involved in a very long partnership with Ravi Shastri. We managed to, in fact, push Australia as much as we could. It was one of the test matches on that tour that we could have won, but we didn't. But yes, that was a very interesting beginning, to say the least, to Warne's illustrious career. It began with failure, yes, and it was a lesson for many of us, Pranesh, how it inspired many thereafter with his achievements thereon to pick up the ball and take up leg spin.
Those were the days of the transistor radio. And when you weren't around a television screen and you were squirreling away in your bedroom pretending to study for your board exams but actually listening to Harsha Bhogle's breathless commentary, that's what you were listening to, the transistor radio. Many people may not even know what I'm talking about, the transistor. You'll probably find it in antique shops today. But Pranesh, those memories of Shane Warne, unforgettable. And I remember the onslaught. Shane Warne, the stuff of nightmares, he said, and McGrath in that Sharjah gladiatorial stadium. I still remember that, and Sachin Tendulkar inflicting heavy damage. Pranesh.
And every time Shane Warne was asked that question, he had a wide smile on his face and he said, you know, look, here I was facing the greatest batsman of all times and I had no shame bowling to Sachin. But I must add, he said that I was successful quite a few times. And Rahul, allow me to ask this of Mr. Alan Sippy.
Well, actually, Pranesh, we're running out of time. And, you know, we would love to continue this conversation because I think we can keep talking and in fact we will be talking, viewers, for years altogether, because this man is a legend. He's going to live on and on and on in the history books. Let me tell you that. Take a short break.